Welcome to Milspouse Matters, the podcast dedicated to encouraging military spouses. I'm your host, Jen McDonald, and I was a military spouse for 30 years until my husband retired. We lived all around the world, raised 4 kids, and dealt with all the challenges and adventures of military life, just like you. Over the years, I came to believe that we military spouses are only stronger together. So whether you're a new or more seasoned spouse, whatever life is throwing your way, let's talk about it. So hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 115. This is your friend Jen, and I am so glad you have joined me today. I am sharing some important news and some things that are going to be changing in the future, and I will get to that in just a minute. First, I want to say thank you to everybody for supporting my new book, Milspouse Matters, Sharing Strength Through Our Stories, which came out in October. You can find that on my site, milspousematters.com, as well as any bookseller. It's also available to request in libraries that might actually be at your library. So you can find that book wherever you buy books or download books. Also, don't forget about my first book, You Are Not Alone, Encouragement for the Heart of a Military Spouse. You can also find that on my site, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. And that is a 30-day devotional for military spouses. Some news, I will be at the Tucson Book Festival at the W Brand Publishing booth March 9th through 10th that weekend. And I believe it's near Davis-Monthan Air Force Base and other Arizona bases. If you happen to be in that area or you know somebody that is, I would love to meet you and sign any of your books that I've written and just get a chance to chat with you. So look for me at that booth if you are in the Tucson area, March 9th and 10th. One thing I learned over the years of our life as a military family, 30 years, was not to say goodbye because you just never knew when you might be stationed near friends again. So we would not say goodbye. We would say, see you later. And in fact, this grandmother always said that to me whenever I would visit before I left again. And in fact, it was one of the last things she said to me. She said, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm seeing you later. So this episode is a see you later episode. I'm not going to say goodbye because I'll still be around. But after a lot of thought and prioritizing over the past months, the Milspouse Matters podcast is coming to an end after 5 years. It is a hard decision, but I do think it's the right one. This podcast started back in 2018, and I don't think that I thought I would still be doing it. So I guess it has been over 5 years later and sort of took on a life of its own. I wasn't really sure when I started it. I thought maybe I'll put out 10 episodes. It might be one of those things where I just do it for a little while. I've had so many amazing guests. I've gotten to meet so many incredible people. I have learned so much about the different experiences across the different service branches. And that has been such an incredible opportunity. I feel like they are friends of mine now, many of the guests and listeners. And I certainly couldn't have done this without the listeners. If you are still wanting to listen to past episodes, there's a lot. Those episodes and all the other military spouse content I've created will live on the milspousematters.com website for now. And I will still be sharing on the Milspouse Matters Instagram and Facebook. And if for some reason I ever decide to restart the podcast, I don't have any plans for that now, and I don't see that happening, but that's where any announcements would be or anything new would be on that website and social media. So for now, you can still go listen to all the amazing guests and past episodes and see all the articles I've written over many, many years and resources I've put together. There are some downloads about deployment. There are some downloads that you can purchase for a very small fee, a deployment devotional, as well as a book study guide for my first book, You Are Not Alone. Find all that on the milspousematters.com website. So I'm splitting off the military spouse content to that site, and the jen-mcdonald.com website is going to turn into my author site, where you can follow along with my writing journey. You will find any projects and books I'm working on. I still have that TikTok and Instagram. So take a look. If you are wanting to follow my journey as an author, that would be the place to do it. Sometimes when people start new things, they just sort of fade away. And I did not want to do that. I think I owe you guys at least that much to tell you what's going on. I have put out these 2 books and they took quite a long time, especially this last book, which is a compilation of not just my own journey, but many of the guests I've had on the podcast. That took me about 5 years to write because I was so pulled in different directions. I work for a company and then my own writing and then the podcast. And the podcast took quite a lot of time because it's time consuming to create, record, edit, do all of the associated things that go along with a podcast. And I was happy to do it. It was great. It was amazing. But it's just time for me to move on to a new phase of life. And that's okay. So if you are in that place where you're pivoting something or you're changing something that you're doing, I hope this encourages you that it's okay to lay something incredible aside to do something else that you really, really want to do. So for the first time in my writing journey, I am going to be delving into fiction writing so you can keep up with where I'm going with that. Subscribe to my newsletter, get some behind the scenes look of what that looks like over at jen-mcdonald.com. So I'm inviting you to come along on this new journey as I figure all of this out and do some things I've never done before. You're never too old to start something new. I turned 55 this year and I've always have more ideas still than I have time. I would like to do another half marathon. I would like to train for a marathon. And so I feel like a lot of these things that I've sort of set aside, I get to focus on again. And then of course I have this brand new grandbaby that lives right near me that we are just adoring and having so much fun helping and watching her grow. So as I close, I just want to say again to listeners, to guests, to sponsors, to everybody that has been a part of this incredible journey of Milspouse Matters podcast. I couldn't have done it without you. You've been so amazing these past years, and I count so many of you as friends. So thank you for all your support, and I hope that you will still go back and listen to episodes that you might not have listened to before. Take this opportunity to go and glean from those still. There are so many amazing resources for military spouses. And I will give you a little bit of advice as you choose who you listen to. Now, I'm not saying if you're a new military spouse, you don't have something to add to this conversation, but if you're looking for some experience, always take a look at who is putting out the content. Do they have anything in common with you? Do they have the experience that you're looking for? It's sort of like taking parenting advice from someone who has a toddler. They might have something, some new, fresh perspective, but they don't have that ability to look back and see what worked and what didn't. So whether in real life, podcasts, articles, books, always take a look at where they've come from, what's their journey been like, how much experience do they have. So that would be my final little piece of advice for you as you look for military-related content. So it's hard to believe this is the end. This is my last episode, but I hope to stay connected with you. Please let me know how you're doing. Please follow me on social media. I'll still be there, and I would love to stay connected. For the last time, I want to remind you that you are brave, you are strong, and you have got this. And I wish you the best of luck wherever in the world this finds you. God bless you, and I'll see you later. Thanks for listening to the Milspouse Matters podcast. You can connect with me at jen-mcdonald.com or on social media as @Milspouse Matters. You can find even more military life support with my books, You Are Not Alone, Encouragement for the Heart of a Military Spouse, and Milspouse Matters, Sharing Strength Through Our Stories, as well as my other podcast, The Christian Milspouse. Love the show? Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening, and then share it with someone else who could use it too. Until next time, have a great week.